Hey, this is Big Jeff coming to you with another Big Jeff Cardio 101 questions and answers, episode 4. So we get asked questions all the time, our customer service sales team, and we like to go over some of them with you. Some are simple, some are not. First one, I want to talk about alternators because we just brought MechMan in. We get a question all the time, when do I need to replace or upgrade my alternator? Well, pretty simple. Most cars are designed to have an alternator that has enough amperage to run the vehicle when you have the lights, windshield wipers, AC controls, everything on and idling. Cars sometimes are 80 amps and nowadays even higher, up to 120 or even 150 if it's a truck, because there's more electronics, more lights, more things for it to run. But when you're adding in car stereo, you got to think, if my alternator is 100 amps and it takes 60 to 80 just to run the vehicle properly, it doesn't leave me enough amperage for the excess car audio. So, do you have to get it? Well, no, you can do by helping out adding batteries, which we'll get into next. But if you're having 5,000 watt, 8,000 watt, or higher amplifiers or multiple amplifiers, you got to think, the batteries just hold the charge. You have to replenish that charge, and that is done with your alternator. Now, if you're doing a lot with the car off, then you need way more batteries for reserve time. But if you're driving here and there or sitting idling or what have you, and you have multiple amplifiers, well, it's not going to hurt. And if you can get an alternator, they're anywhere from $500 to $700. Most of the time between 5 and 6, but depending on the vehicle. You can get a 300 amp to a 400 amp, and now you have plenty of amperage to run the vehicle and charge your batteries. So the question, when do I need it? Well, if the lights are dimming and you're constantly having your amps heat up or maybe shut down or vice versa, you've had added batteries already and still have an issue, well, then it comes down to the batteries are just not charging up enough. That's a good time to say, hey, I'm going to invest in a aftermarket alternator. And if it was me, I would get a MechMan, great warranty, really good product, and we have them at Big Jeff Audio. Now, talking about batteries, when I need to upgrade or add batteries. Well, remember, a battery is put in a car basically to start the vehicle, and then for emergency use if the vehicle was off and you needed lights or what have you. Well, they don't put huge batteries in cars just because it really needs to start it and then kind of keep everything level. Again, if you're adding in aftermarket, and not just stereo, it could be lighting, it could be a winch, it could be whatever, well then recommended to definitely add a battery, or at the very least, replace the factory with more of an accessory type battery. Now, we get it all the time and they go check them at AutoZone or where have you, and they do a test. These are not tested with cold cranking amps like a normal battery. You can't go do that. It's not going to come back right. We sell excess power and definitely would say that is the better of the battery companies out there. And I would say first, replace the factory battery, because if you add an extra battery in the back and you have a weak one up front, it's going to kind of take away from the purpose of the extra battery. So I would start up front first, get you a factory size that fits, and then if you're still having some issues, add one in the back. Okay, how do I cool off my sub if I start to hear it, not to hear it, but smell it smoke or see smoke? Well, definitely don't want to just shut it off. That is bad. It will trap the heat inside and will do more damage. First you want to do is instantly drop the volume down. You still want the woofer to move to cool itself off. If you're really trying to cool it off fast, you want to play something in the lower, like 40 hertz range, where the speaker does a lot of moving, but you don't hear it. And that'll allow to blow fresh air over the coil, and that will cool off your woofer. Never just shut it off. Okay, next question we get all the time, when do I need a crossover and or a DSP? Well, most amplifiers have a built-in crossover and they do the job. At the crossover point, it cuts off. It's not real exact and it's just on that amplifier. By doing a external, either in-dash or something in the back, passive crossover, well, guess what that'll do? That will allow you to have 1 or 2 or 3 inputs from your head unit, and then allow you to have multiple amplifiers. Each amplifier then can be crossed over at a different frequency, and you can control your gains from there. So that's a cool thing. What is a DSP? Well, digital signal processor. Cool thing about the new ones is you can have one input in and anywhere from 4, 6, or 8 outputs. And at that point, you could have a separate amp for your tweeters, mid-range, mid-bass, subwoofers, anything you want. And then you can go into digitally and adjust your frequencies, your octaves, your boosts. There's so many different settings you can do depending on which one you get. We sell many of them. Let's see, DS18, audio control, Marks, Tipano, they all have them. So I like separating an amp per speaker. What I mean by that, tweeters are made to play highs. And you got your drivers, right? Horns, if you do that, that's supposed to be vocals. Then you have your mid-range, mid-bass, and subwoofer. If you can afford it, have the space for it, by putting amplifiers on each type, you're able to fully control it, fine-tune it in perfect, and less chance of blowing anything up and getting a longer life out of it. Well, that's me wrapping it up with Big Jeff Car Audio Questions and Answers, episode 4. Make sure you comment. Let me know if I said something wrong. Don't beat me up. I'm just trying to do my best here. And you can also leave comments what you'd like to hear in the future. I'm Big Jeff, signing off till next time.